Well, Elimu is a charity which we started a few months ago, and the aim is to allocate educational resources in Tanzania and developing countries across East Africa.
The word Elimu means education in Swahili, which is the language of Tanzania, which we're primarily focusing on.
The problem in Tanzania, it's not that they don't have schools, the schools really lack resources, such as books, so we aim to provide the schools with those.
And since providing these schools with books is such a difficult process, it's a mountain for us to climb, so Mount Elimu fits in perfectly with our purpose.
At the orphanage I was working at for about 6 weeks, one day I was sitting on the football pitch talking to some of the students during the half-time break, and I was asking them, I was like, so you guys you do go to school and everything, which is a great thing, but what do you think, where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years? And they're just shocked by the question, because they didn't have a future plan in front of them. And so I was like, what is it that you find that limits you in progressing? And they're like, well, firstly, obviously financial resources, because most of them are orphans and their parents weren't there to support them. And I was like, with regards to books and working outside of school, how do you guys do your homework? They're like, we can't, because we don't actually have textbooks to work from. And I was like, so how do you learn? They're like, the teacher has one textbook and they teach it to us from the textbook, and we can't go home and review the textbook because we don't own one. And I was like, if we were to supply you with textbooks in a central library accessible to your group of students, which would be about 100 to 200 people, and we provided sufficient books for you guys, would that help you progress? And they were like, yeah, absolutely. So we did a test run. We supplied one library with books, and about 6 months later, we reviewed their reports and grades, and we saw a substantial increase in their grades. So we thought, if books can have such a big impact, and it only costs about £200 to supply a library, if it can have such a massive impact, then why don't we do this across the board?
It's inherent in our human nature to help those who are less fortunate than us. We take education for granted in this country. It's just expected, primary school, secondary school, sometimes even university, whereas people in third world countries, they don't even expect to get past the primary school stage. So getting involved in Mount Elimu and this charity, we're just basically giving people that extra step to be able to pursue their education and make a better life for themselves.
The thing that makes our charity different is I think we're slightly more trustworthy in that we're not just dealing straight away with money that can fall into the wrong hands. It's books, and when we ship a crate of books, that's not going to go to a random person that would quite like a cut of that. And we're different in that providing education, that's a resource that will never run out. If we just sent money over, how long will that last? But if you educate a child, that's for life. So we really think that's what makes us different.
So not only am I helping myself by gaining extra skills, but I'm also helping other people, not only in this country, but in countries such as East Africa, and hopefully we'll be moving to other countries that are less developed than this one. We've already branched across to universities in Toronto, universities in Canada, and again Warwick, and hopefully we'll be going to universities in London. Being at university means that you have so many links, because you just left sixth form, and so you've got all these friends that have just branched across to different universities across the country and across the world, and so you have all these contacts. So if you start something up new and you've got all these friends in different places, then you can get them on board, and they can have that same aspiration as you, and they can have that same belief and want as you, because obviously they're in the same position. And so by getting them on board, and you getting yourself on board and other people on board, you can make something that's small, that never was, into something that's massive and big.
So far, we've already funded 4 libraries in 4 different schools in Tanzania. and we're slowly increasing our awareness in Tanzania so that people know what we're about. And in the future, hopefully, we're aiming to expand that not just to different cities in Tanzania, but maybe different countries in Africa. But there's a wider impact as well. Even it makes a difference if a child, someone at school, knows that there's someone out there that's wanting to help them, wanting to make a difference. Just that in itself can give them that little push to pursue their education, to realise the value of it.
Because we believe that everyone's entitled to an education. It's not fair that just because we were born in the UK, we should get so much more. They might live in Tanzania, but they're still people, and they're so capable of it as well. Like you see, they're so clever, and there's so much potential within them, and it's just such a shame to see them not being able to reach this potential because they just can't have the resources to do so. I hope that we grow, and I really hope that we can make a difference and actually help these children receive their education in Tanzania. And even if we only help like 5 children, it'll definitely be worth it.
Our future aims include, as well, since the website has already been created, we're going to create a division on the website for mentors, and like each student which we try and help out in the area is going to have a mentor in the UK or different parts of the developed world, and these mentors will help give them guidance, career guidance. The libraries aren't just accessible to students because it's in local community centres as well as schools, so anyone can access the books.
There are charities helping out students that are not really known to the world. These students, they obviously live in towns and villages where no one really cares about them, no one really knows about them, and there's no real internet sources, and there's no way of those students communicating to the rest of the world. But obviously we can communicate to them, and so I want us to branch out to lots of students and hopefully inspire them to maybe join us or create something similar. And in that way, I'll feel I'll be successful, and at the same time I'll make everyone else successful.
Educating you educates me.